So the first thing it does is it makes people feel a part of. And when people feel a part of, they feel like they have a stake in the success of something. And you generally get more output.
We're going to talk about 13-month year, which I will institute for my cloud team proper to run our innovation sprints inside this 13-month year. And I will explain what it is and where it comes from, etc. So 13-month year is something that I came across a few years ago. It's been used by Kodak back in the 70s to run their manufacturing. It's been used by lots of different companies, most of them quietly. Individuals use it, again, quietly, because none of this, you know, needs to be public, let's say, right? But it's just a different calendar. We're so accustomed to Julian calendar because the reality soup in which we live is a Julian calendar reality soup. But other calendars exist. The Mayan calendar, the Chinese calendar, the Jewish calendar, the human calendar is a 13-month calendar. Somebody reminded me of that from the last session. But I like it because it's mathematical. Unlike Julian calendar, which is engineered bananas, this calendar is engineered with consistency and controls in mind. It removes the variables. Every day is a 28, sorry, every month is a 28 days month. 13 times 28 is 364. That's nearly a year. We take a day and we toss it to the dogs. Right? And we keep doing that, in fact. So we don't care about that one day. Fine, we'll lose a day. It's not in the calendar. It's not accounted for. So what? Right? You can fill the grid however you like. I filled it with days starting with Friday, and of course, then they repeat for 28 days. They wrap, so to speak. And then the dates. I start my 13-month calendar on December 21st. Why December 21st? Because winter solstice. Sun at this stage, we're in October, flies across the sky faster and faster. And every day we lose a little bit of the daylight. And that culminates in the greatest loss of daylight for 3 days around December 19th, 20th, 21st. And that December 21st, on that third day, the sun resurrects and the days start to get longer. So I've just matched up this calendar, the start of this calendar, with the natural beginning of the sun cycle per year. It's a yearly calendar, it just makes sense to me. And so now every month, every cycle, every moon, as we call it, because 28 days, it's also the moon cycle. So this follows heavenly bodies. 28 days per cycle, 13 cycles per year. It's 20 work days per cycle, because 8 days are Saturdays and Sundays. That goes to the dogs. So we have 20 days to complete a distinct set of tasks and judge ourselves on our accomplishments and take an opportunity at every cycle break, between cycles, to course correct to the degree necessary. We are presently in cycle 11, and starting tomorrow, October 25th, we're starting the first innovation cycle at Tango. It's the 12th cycle in the calendar year. And so now that we have spread out our entire year in this cohesive structure, we can now divvy it up further into quarters, and perhaps this quarter we'll focus on one thing, and perhaps next quarter we'll focus on something else. So for example, in terms of customer engagements, in terms of customer development and customer interviews, this is sort of like one-on-one focus grouping, if you're not familiar with customer development as a model. And I will get into it a little bit later. But we all understand what focus groups are, and you can think of customer development as focus grouping one-on-one. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to put a camera in front of the conversation and then put it on YouTube, use it as thought leadership content. But is that the right thing? I don't know. Is it going to produce the required results? I don't know. I suspect that it will. Otherwise, why do it? But in either case, let's say it's wildly successful, we would want to give ourselves an opportunity to pause that particular line of activities and erect a new activity that may bolster the pipeline, or that may bolster the activities from the previous quarter. They should be in concert. They should be in tango, right? Pun entirely intended. And then perhaps we can come back in the cycle 4, 5, and 6 to that idea of NPR, PBS, YouTube conversation style content that we could put out. And then maybe we come back to the yellow activity. Maybe that's more of a thought leadership content, book writing, this and that. So it's a really useful device. It's a cognitive framework. It can be adopted by anyone in pretty much any way. And so I encourage you to try it, to give it a think. All right. So just to give you a sort of a broad point of view on this, this is about eliminating variables, because my job is to plan the future. My job is to shape the future of cloud. And so it would behoove me to minimize the variables from that process. And so each innovation cycle, notice our aim was to eliminate variables, right? So now each innovation cycle is identical. 28 days, Monday through Friday. Saturday, Sunday goes to the dogs, etc. And so when is our cloud's first proper innovation cycle going to begin? The answer, October 25th. And if you take a screenshot of this calendar, now you know exactly, when all of our cycles will begin and end in perpetuity, because it's the same calendar year after year. I decided to start it on December 21st because of winter solstice, Saturnalia. Sun sets is at its lowest point during December. and then stays at that lowest point for 3 days, and then it resurrects, starts climbing the sky, starting on December 21st. So in lots of ways, I'm following the heavenly body procession, and I'm keeping with the moon cycles that are locked in. Our grandparents used this calendar, by the way, maybe not in so many explicit and articulated ways, but to plant crops and to sort of follow the processions. This is what the elders used to do. And we often think of it as superstition, but that's only because we don't understand it in detail, and this is the detail. So this calendar is then further subdivided into quarters. And so this quarter may have a certain theme. It's very much me getting up to speed on everything I need to know in terms of cloud and broadly speaking. Maybe next quarter will be themed as something else. And then fourth, fifth, sixth cycle, we can go back to the original theme if we wanted to. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by theme. We want to produce a product type of PBS, NPR, YouTube, TV-ready YouTube show, conversations with our customers, talking about their product vision. It would unearth a lot of opportunities, we think. And so that could be a really great activity, but we should make room for other activities as well. So this producing a TV show that's really us in conversations with our customers could be something that we return to twice a year, but not do continually necessarily. I left that middle unallocated because one always goes to the dogs. We'll build that kind of failure into the model and allow it to fail. And so this is a nice way to establish a yearly routine.